industry. The season 3 finale happened over the weekend. It was a tremendous piece of television, I think. So we brought on Sebastian to talk about it. Sebastian, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, yeah. It was a pretty crazy episode.
It was sick, yeah. So obviously there's this like overarching shadow on the season is that they didn't know they were going to get a season 4, right? And so season 4 was just renewed like last week. And apparently till season 7 they got a 3-year deal, those showrunners. So they've said it multiple times, they like to finish each season with its own like standalone finale that could, God forbid, if the show doesn't go on, it's okay. Things are okay. And this season 3 finale, more than anything, I felt like if it's rare that you can walk away from a show that's only 3 seasons and be content and like feel like all the storylines have been wrapped up. And I felt like this finale did it so well that you could honestly say that. Steves, what did you think, first of all, like about the finale overall, season 3 in general?
I think that's accurate. It does seem to be something that British shows are better at doing than American shows. In industry, I mean,
Yes.
I believe it's mainly a British show, right? Like the staff, I believe, who work behind the scenes, yeah. So, like, if you watch a lot of British shows, it does feel like each season kind of is like a chapter, and they close the chapter well, I guess you would say, most British shows. So, I think that's probably the difference to why it feels so different since we're being presented it on HBO. Like, it does feel like it's an American show to us because, we're watching it. But I think that's probably what contributes, because I think they actually don't know a lot of times over there if they are getting renewed for a next season. And they have big gaps between their seasons in terms of years a lot of times. So
well, they got hit by COVID too, which is a big thing for this. It was like written into the show. And for 2 new showrunners, I think it's Conrad K. and who's the other guy's name? He eludes me, but I just listened to a podcast from them. They're like young British blokes. This is a uniquely British show. It talks about like, obviously you're in a British financial institution, which is your like your window or your portal into the world, but you're really talking a lot about like British wealth, class, and like ritual and traditions, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but like
high society ritual and traditions, I guess you would say.
Yeah, exactly. So just briefly before we get into specifics, I want to say why I liked it so much is that when you finish TV series, like oftentimes you have a vision of how you think things are going to go, and if what comes out doesn't match with your vision of what will go, you kind of have to like reconcile with it and grapple and challenge yourself with it. Sometimes it works and you think, okay, I can understand why this person did this or why this happened. And sometimes it's like fucking stupid. Like one thing that I think I'll talk about. But like, let me give an example of like a bad season finale. Like that's not Seinfeld or anything like that. Do you know a bad drama off the top of your head? Westworld. Okay, Westworld. Like no conclusion, no wrap up. You had more questions than you had at the beginning of the season. Like here, Robert, Yaz, Eric, Harper, even Sweet Pea and Anraj all got like their stories wrapped with a bow on the end of it, and you could see like logically why everyone made the decisions they made. So for me, it was really satisfying. The one thing we'll talk about is the Rishi scene, but we'll get into that. Or do you want to start with? Let's start with it. Rishi. The Uncut Gems episode was crazy, and then we kind of get a little bit more of it this episode and last episode. What do you think, Steve? What was your read on it?
They set that up really well throughout the season for him to get his comeuppance, because they had him really crash out even before the, I guess, are you terming it the Uncut Gems episode, where he basically, Rishi's Wild Night?
Yeah, Rishi's Wild Night. There you go.
Yeah, was it titled Uncut Gems? I wasn't aware of that.
No, everyone just calls it Uncut Gems. Once I've
for sure, yeah, basically, even before that, they had that board meeting, or was that in the same episode where they were like, basically Rishi is making, they didn't say his name, but it was like, some people are very uncomfortable with how we're conducting ourselves in here. And he's like, fuck all of you. Like, you're having this meeting because of me. Am I really that big of an ass or whatever? And like, they're all like, yeah, kind of, man. like, and he doesn't change at all. He still is kind of like an ass. Doesn't really learn his lesson. Like, he pretends that he's learned his lesson on the surface, but then
No, he gets lucky. Let's be honest. He gets lucky.
yeah, he gets lucky, and then he even that last in the finale, he's like crashing out in the Pierpoint building, like telling everybody like, "Fuck all of you, I'm out of here," all this shit. And I mean, I don't necessarily. I feel bad for him because there's a human cost, I guess you would say, but he made it very hard to be sympathetic towards him. And then, yeah, I guess we can transition to he gets fucked over going over to Harper. She has Anraj and Sweet Pea basically like give him his marching orders. And then they kind of went maybe a little too far, but I feel like they had alluded to it all season, and that storyline needed payoff with, you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Rishi got off really, really light when his magical trade somehow functions and he gets a massive profit off it. He saves himself. But then in his personal life, there's the broken arm, the back rashes that are apparently like bruises or whatever, and then like Vinay visiting his house. Then we get the actual episode of the Uncut Gems episode, and then after that, there's still more signs that he has not resolved that issue, and his debt is still what's outstanding. There's two things that I had a problem with. One is that you said Rishi was a bad guy. I don't disagree. He's not a good guy. He's arrogant. He's brash. He's misogynistic at times. There's a lot of words you can use to describe Rishi, but when you compare him to like the evil of like a Charles Hani or Nicole, who are actual predators, I wouldn't put him on that level. Do you?
I agree. No, I agree. I do have small issues with the final scene with Diana. I do have issues with that in general, because like they've punished their child for Rishi's mistakes, which I feel is very cruel. And I also feel like it didn't make much sense to me why Rishi wouldn't just immediately go to the police, because he's a civilian. He's in debt to a criminal. Like, I'm not sure that he's going to be in as much legal trouble as a man who fucking murdered somebody. And he knows the identity of him. Like, is he afraid of blowback from a criminal organization? I feel like he would be protected. It's not really like, I don't think you get away with that in the UK. Like, I feel like Vinay would be fucked. So that was confusing to me. Like, Vinay's just gonna wrap the gun in a bag and run away. Like, no, like, I don't think that really works out, man. Rishi probably has security cameras too. He lives in a pretty nice building. So I didn't understand why. It was dramatic, and sure, it was like, oh wow, Diana got shot through the fucking head. But like, I do feel there's a plot hole where like, how's Vinay gonna get away with this? Like, is he immediately leaving the country even though Rishi owes him $500,000? Or what was it? $500,000 or half a million, right?
$500,000, which is not even that much. Like,
no,
he makes that in a year easily. Yeah. Like, you know, so like that was one thing. And then the second thing is like your point. It seemed when I listened to that interview of the showrunners, they said the main thing for this, the need for this storyline was that Rishi has to get some sort of just desserts for the way he's acted this year, right? And so like, I understand like breaking his arm. I understand like intimidating him, showing up at work. But Vinay's not going to get that much, $500K now. If Rishi goes to the police to go into protective services, they won't get the $500K at all. If he doesn't, like, there's a murder of a white, well-known podcaster. That's obviously like, is he intending to pin it on Rishi as like there were some talks about life insurance, and he wanted to collect her life insurance, and that one of the original drafts of the scene is that Rishi has them both there, and he like tries to orchestrate a suicide of Diana to like get her life insurance policy. I don't know, but
that would have been better actually. It would have been less confusing.
Less confusing, like, and that's the thing. Like, so Charles Hani gets to drown by his own accord. Nicole dies in her backyard. Like,
by his own accord is really strong, because he's begging for his life as the boat
Not when he
travels.
jumped. Not when he jumped though.
No, dude, but he's like, come on, like, yes, throw the, yes,
Stop
throw
fucking
the,
around.
yeah, stop fucking around. No, actually, I think he dies in maybe the most cruel fashion imaginable. Actually, like
With
that
no
would be
hip.
one of the
Like he throws
worst
his hip out.
fucking. Yeah, that would be one of the worst fucking ways to die. So I actually think he maybe died in the worst way imaginable.
So yeah,
That scene gave me anxiety, honestly, when he died.
it
I
was
was like,
bad. But
Jesus
I had no
Christ,
sympathy
like
for Charles because I think he's a
me
shitty
neither.
man.
But dying that way, but for anybody, that's like
Yeah.
that's like the worst nightmare. That's the worst way
So
to die, in my opinion.
I agree. So when we first talked about this episode right after it came out, I said like everything it was perfect and I loved it except this one thing. So that's my only one beef is like for those two reasons. One, Rishi was not at the level of how bad people can be in industry, and so his comeuppance seemed a little bit out of sorts. And two, logistically, plotline wise, real world wise, reality wise, it didn't make sense to what you're saying. Like why Vinay would do that and then act like so surprised and run away like hastily, like and so that was the only thing. But can we move on to all the things we liked or any things I liked at least? Anything else you think we need to cover on this scene? Rishi
No,
in general. Rishi Harper thing
no,
was a little bit like far fetched because like I just want to interject this is do you think that Rishi was coercing Sweet Pea to have sex with him throughout this time, or was it a one-time thing?
I thought it was. I didn't think it was happening the whole time. I thought it was early and not maybe
So
more than
if
once, but
more than one, like it happened in the past and it was no longer
yeah.
happening now. Okay, so what I saw is like some people on Reddit, our industry thread, are saying like the reason why they kept saying predator is because he was consistently forcing Sweet Pea to have sex with him because of the OnlyFans. And I never got that read from it. Did you?
No, but it could happen. But I didn't get that read. I mean, who knows? I don't know that we have a definitive answer. They could be
So
right.
then my second question to you is in that environment, industrial banking, where everyone's an asshole, Eric's an asshole to Harper, was an asshole to Harper, it was an asshole to Yaz. It's like they said in the interview, like it's common in investment banking to be fearful of the person you sit next to. And so why is Anraj and Sweet Pea so vindictive towards Rishi and so like gleeful in his dissent just because he didn't take them along or because of the verbal abuse? Was that the only reason?
I
Or
think that I think Rishi made it a very inhospitable place to work. I can see why they both would have a lot of animus towards him. Anraj, I can see. Sweet Pea, of course, I can see. I don't think that's
yeah,
a grudge that you get over if you're Sweet Pea.
that's fair.
And with Anraj, he made him question his self worth on like a daily basis. You're not gonna really like a person like that.
True, true.
And Anraj
Yeah,
was
that's
clearly a very capable individual. And Rishi was the fuck up, and he made Anraj constantly feel like the fuck up.
the it's interesting because it's like such a difference. 1 and 2, he's like comic relief. Rishi's comic relief, and like he's saying like throwaway lines. He might be a little of an ass, but then you get to see it from the point of view of Sweet Pea and Onraj in season 3, and then he becomes much more uh, vindictive, vengeful. I don't know. So I guess that's it for Rishi. Can we move to? We'll leave Yaz and Robert for the end.
Yeah, I think that's
So
the
we did
biggest one.
Sweet Pea and Anraj we talked about. So I guess before we go into Eric and Harper, do you want to talk about a little bit of the office politics, the Adler, the Wosley, the Saudi Arabian fund, Eric's speech, which was a fantastic speech, but then ultimately it's like, and 4 months later he's out on his ass, much richer, $20 million richer, but he gave this grand speech that like you're safe. This is your job. You come to work and we make money for people, and this money's piece, right? Or whatever it was. And then you see like all the stills of him afterward, and it's like an empty room. 4 months later, his big office, he gets knocked out by Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina, I never say her name right, but
Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina. So for her, why does she end up on top? She literally deflected any responsibility at any time throughout the season and in general. Like for one season, 1, 2, 3, is that what it takes? Keep your hands clean, and then you get chosen for the big job. Like I thought Eric had proven himself more useful to the Saudi Arabian fund than she had, because she had
Yeah,
also
Eric.
been
She couldn't be replaced by machines. Eric could. That was ultimately what it came down to.
as a CEO.
Yeah.
I feel like if you stayed at head of credit and trading, sure, there's no role for him. But if there was a vacancy and they had a CFO and they had a, does it really matter where you come from at that point? You're not even doing those roles anyway.
They also, I mean, Eric was never in the inner circle. He's an American also. Like, I think that probably contributes. Like, he was never in the
I
inner
agree
circle.
with you. I got that read too. But don't you think that Saudi Arabia, like because of his connection he made with the Saudi Arabian fund, and he's the one who got the deal through, they would hold him in greater esteem than Willemania, who for
I
the
don't think
last
they'd
2
give a
years,
fuck.
last 2 years has been trying to push their direct competitor in ESG.
She
That doesn't
was
make sense to me at all.
They were like immediately willing to bow to every demand the Saudis made. I feel like Eric was a harder sell, even though he really probably wouldn't have been. I don't know. I just feel like the show kind of wanted to fuck Eric over. Like, I feel like
They
that was something.
did. Yeah, they wanted to show like the midlife crisis, and they showed, to me, it was like industry. If you took this 3-month chunk, you saw the start of a set of grads like the Harper, Gus, etc., and then you saw the end of the high level up with Adler, with Nicole, Jesse Bloom, even, and Eric, like that level. And you saw this level, and they're moving up, and now this level has been kicked off the curb, and this level is now rising. The bottom level is rising up, so you can kind of see like the cycle of industry. Anything on Eric's end? He got $20 million payout. He said it's not enough, and then he ends up reconciling with Harper, who in his phone is still harpsichord, which I thought was cute. But what do you think about Eric's future in season 4?
He'd be the one character I'm curious if he'd come back for any part of season 4. I could see him not really being necessary to the show. He's such a main character that I'd like to see him back, but it wouldn't shock me if he's not. They basically wrote him off clean if they needed. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be like a similar.
Everyone off clean. Robert was run off clean. Yaz, like, I mean, Yaz
they have more potential to continue their story. Harper has a lot more potential to continue her story. Eric, I feel like it would be restarting in a Harper type story line. Where was it season 2 or 3 where Harper basically was starting all over again? That would be like Eric again, and I don't see why Eric would need to because he's been paid out handsomely. They don't do it for the money, I guess, but
I thought when I thought about it, when he said that line, it's not enough to Harper, I thought like 20 million, though, it seems like a big payday, but when you think about a partner at a big bank is probably making $2 or $3 million a year. They probably have a $5 to $10 million mortgage, and then they probably have all these like high living in New York City. They're probably paying like $1 million or $2 million a year. And when I did the calculation in my head, I was like, ultimately for a guy in his mid-40s, that's not retirement money. At the way he's
not in his mid-40s. Eric has to be older than that.
You don't think so? Late 40s?
I'd say Eric's late 50s or close to 60.
No, there's absolutely no way he's late 50s or 60s, dude. The whole point of like Adler and him, I felt like these were middle-aged guys who are facing their mortality.
In real life, he's 54.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they say he's like, his kids are like 5 and 6, man. I would be very surprised if he's above 50 in the show, in my opinion.
I feel like he has to be over 50.
Just because he has gray hair, though? I feel like that's common for those guys. Like, they just get
also,
super
strict. The picture they show of him when he's young looks like it's about 30 years prior or 20 years prior.
Yeah, 20 years prior would make sense. Yeah.
So I'd say he's in his 50s at least.
They don't start at 30, though. They would start at like 21 as an associate.
Maybe. I don't know. I think he's probably in his 50s, is my guess. I would stake claim to him being in his 50s.
I would say late 40s, but regardless,
we're splitting hairs.
Splitting hairs. He's not. He's not like. The point I was trying to make is that like for him,
article from The Cut, just to cut you off, it says meaning Eric. Eric is now in his 50s. In an article from The Cut.
I don't trust The Cut. I
don't know what The Cut is.
It seems pretty cutty to me, dude. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's in his 50s. That would just be, but late 40s, 50s, basically the same thing. Yeah.
What I had calculated for him is like that's probably like. With taxes, that's probably like 10 to 11 years of living for him, no working. So he's going to have to work again. And so how does a middle-aged man who's got, like it happens so much, so many middle-aged men sell their companies at like 40 to 50, even late 50s, whatever. And then they have to decide, do I go back to work or do I retire? I think your dad did it. My dad did it. Like every Indian dad in the community's done it. Like do I go back to work or do I sit? And none of them can sit. They have to go back to work because they can't handle it. And so for him, I think it's partly a little bit of money motivation, and also like partly it's the grind that he likes to be a part of something and powerful. So when you said Eric's the most wrapped up, I thought Robert was the most wrapped up personally, because he's out in California, he's in a VC fund, he gets a happy ending, he got his closure with his relationship.
Does he get a happy ending?
He gets closure. It's not happy.
Closure, yeah. It's not happy though.
He seems happy at that last. I thought that last scene was amazing.
That's fair.
Like with him like selling it, and you see it in his face, like he's actually happy and like he's passionate about
Seems
something.
Relieved, yeah.
Yeah, relieved and
at
like
peace,
yeah,
I guess, yeah.
peace, and then also the smile when he left the Muck Manor. Oh, I guess we should talk about the Muck Manor. So anything else on Eric? Great character, great acting. I was a little upset with his arc at the beginning of the season. Could just seem like wildly incompetent and like going off the edge. But then the last 2 episodes where he really like found himself and like, this is what I need to do, and he showed his competence that you saw in season 1. I liked it. I thought he would stay on as like an important person at Pier Point, but I was a little thrown by that. But I'm perfectly fine with him getting the payout. Anything else on Eric?
No, I think Eric. I thought his story was wrapped up pretty clean. Like I said, yeah.
And then I guess we'll just do the Yaz and Robert thing. So Yaz, Robert in Wales, she makes a call to the Mucks after seeing Robert at a gas station with a lotto ticket. And then I think she sees herself in the car next to her with an older mother with a poor family with kids in the back. And then immediately she makes the call to Muck, and like she tries to set this thing in motion. What ends up happening for people, like I know you knew, but like Yaz, Robert, and Muck all at Muck's mansion. She basically gets told point blank that if you join our family, we'll take care of all your legal trouble from the uncle. And so she has to make the snap decision. She goes, basically, she realizes she loves Robert, but he won't be able to protect her. I think the lotto scene was supposed to show that. So they go out, they have like this dream-like sequence in the garden. It's like a trip, and they fuck on a bench, and she tells him that she loves him, which she's never told another guy. And then right after that, she goes to Muck, and she gets basically set the proposal in order. She marries Muck. She gets engaged to Muck. So for me, actually, you go first. I went first last time. You go first on this. What do you think about this whole thread?
I think she just chose power and security over like true happiness. She could settle for the power. There were 2 types of happiness for her, I'd say. Like one was happiness with Robert and love, but she would never feel secure and she wouldn't have much power. She chose like the status and security and power with slightly less like true happiness, but like more security, I guess you would say. I feel like she would have been fine with Robert too. Like she was talking about moving with him, I believe. So like, I feel like she would have been fine.
I read that as she was trying to make her decision, and she was getting all the data points. She kept asking him, "Are you going to move to California? Are you going to move to California?" He said, "Yes, yes." And then, like, I don't know. There's like so many breadcrumbs in the Wales trip, like the way he's okay slumming it in like low class accommodations, and she could not stand not having a kettle. Like, there's just a difference of class that they can't bridge. And so I thought that like that scene was so sweet, is like not sweet, but like forlonging, that like, oh, these are 2 people who love each other, but no matter the circumstances, it's never going to work out. So they have this final tryst, and it's like a dream for them. And she leaves him with this knowledge that, oh, you're the only guy I've loved. I'm so damaged, but you're the only guy I've loved. And that's why he's okay leaving her. And he understands that she needs protection, and she has this big legal battle. And so he's not that chuffed. He's sad. Obviously, when it happens, he's sad. But when he drives away in his Volkswagen, he seems to be content. And then we see him at the end, and he seems to be content. So what do you think about, you said you put your view on Yaz. What about Robert? Do you think Robert got, like, just tell me what you think about Robert.
He got a consolation prize. I don't know that he'll ever be happy. Like, he'll be happy eventually, I'm sure. But, like, you're saying it like it's very neat. I don't think situations like that are very neat. I feel like it's going to hurt him deep down for a very long time. Like, thinking of Yaz will be very painful for him. Like, it's that type of situation. It doesn't feel good. You could see it on his eyes when they were at the dinner
That was
and she was
haunting, dude. That was haunting, man.
Yeah, that was like a very fucked up look in his eyes. Like that type of pain doesn't just disappear because you're taking your ex-lover's money to start up your new startup. That is one like consolation prize. She was nice to do
she
that
got
for
him
him,
paid.
but like
She got him paid, yeah.
yeah. But like it's at the end of the day, it's a consolation prize. Robert doesn't seem to value like the money and status the way Yaz does. I feel like he ultimately won out in the end because he gets to escape that fucking insanity. Like that was a shit show. Like she was always going to crash and burn him if they got together. Like so, I don't know. I feel like from an outside perspective, he won, but I think internally, I'm not sure he'll be very happy.
Well, the ayahuasca helps, but I
Yeah.
think he actually did want the status, in my opinion. In the first season, I think he likes Yaz because she's like this ungettable
I
rich
think he
girl.
evolved, though. I kind of agree with you.
Yes. So like he started that, and then he realized in this Pierpoint and Nicole world that their money in class is just not that it's all made to be, and that he wants to find something he's passionate about, and that's why the ayahuasca mushroom thing seems to work for him. Yeah, I think both of the Yaz and Robert, Harry Lottie and Marisa, like killed it this episode, acting wise. I think they stole the show from everyone else. And then what about
Muck was pretty
World?
good too, honestly.
Muck's I don't know what to make of. I don't know if I hate him or if I love him.
I don't like him, but I thought the actor did a very good job.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I had a couple questions. So one, do you think he knows or cares that Yaz is using him for his position, his baronship?
Yes, I think he definitely knows.
Okay, he knows. Two, does he love her anyways?
Yeah.
Why? What's his he get? Okay, so he loves her. Okay, fine. And then three, there was this weird allusion to him having like some weird disease with sharing needles, and then some people were saying like HIV, some people were saying hepatitis. It was a throwaway comment.
Yeah, it would be one of those, I think.
So because of that, he can't have kids, or he can't like be platonic relationship with Yaz, or what?
I don't know that he even confirmed that he had it. I thought, didn't he just say he was afraid that he had it, but he didn't really know 100%?
I thought that like he knew that he couldn't have kids because of that. When if I don't know if hepatitis does that. I could see why HIV would have some complications to that. I don't know, like how did magic have kids? I don't know. Like
I don't believe hepatitis does it, but I think it's more of a problem for a woman if she has hepatitis.
Okay, so I don't know, but yeah. And then what about Otto and his uncle? Anything on him? Like the Uncle Harper plotline with Petra, and then Harper doing a double take, coming back to her. I think that's the last thing we have to talk about is Harper.
That was very predictable.
Was it predictable?
When she was sitting in there very annoyed with everybody being soft in the office, yes, it was very predictable.
Oh, that, no. I thought from like episode 7, when she gets in the car, everyone was saying like, oh, Otto's going to choose Harper over Petra, which he did. But the surprise was that Harper refused him and went back to Petra. That was a surprise.
I actually thought she was being disingenuous when she did it. I thought she was double-crossing Petra even further, because I just truly don't believe Harper's capable of being truthful at all. But I think you may be right. Like, she actually thought she could turn over a new leaf and then realized, no, like, I'm pretty scummy and I'll always be scummy. There's nothing that can fix me.
Yeah.
I'm not happy unless I'm scummy.
Yeah, or like, well, also like autonomy and the way they shot it did seem like the way the interactions go between them, it always seems like Petra is like little sister and Harper.
I agree with you. That would one thing I do actually side with Harper about is Petra's way of she's very condescending. Yeah, she views herself as morally superior to Harper,
or like not superior, like
and more knowledgeable.
Yeah,
more experienced. Yeah, more experienced than like she has principles. Harper doesn't. That type of shit. So it seems frustrating to be around Petra, honestly.
I used to love Otto, but I'm just getting sick of his old English like throwbacks and like all this like poetry in his speech, and it's agree. Enough.
I'm not a huge fan of that storyline, I have to be honest.
So
I kind of enjoy when Harper's not on TV.
Otto, Harper and Jesse are going to start a only short fun in season 4. I think that's confirmed, basically.
Yeah.
Anything else, I would be is up in the air. So that's the last thing we're going to finish with is for each character, do you expect to see them back in what capacity? So let's go down the list. Robert.
I would like to see him back.
I would like to see him back, but I would not be surprised if he doesn't come back because he got a bump.
That's why I phrased
he got the bump.
It.
Yeah, he got.
That's why I phrased it like that.
Same with Gus. Gus is now in Aliens. A lot of people want Gus back because Jesse's back. I don't think he's going to come back.
No.
Yas.
Yeah, I think she'll be back 100%.
Obviously, I think she'll be focal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Petra.
Yeah, I would assume at least at the beginning.
Okay. Sweet Pea and Anuraj.
Yeah, because they'll be with Harper.
Not anymore, right? They'll be with Petra.
Oh yeah, you're right. Has Harper? Isn't she doing that behind Petra's back though? At this point,
I think we don't know for sure, but I don't think you can run 2 funds, man. I feel like I don't.
I'm curious about that. Yeah.
Okay, Eric.
No, would be my guess.
If this was season 1 and that character was at the same level of role, I would agree with you. But they made him so central to season 3. I think he has to come back.
I'd like him to, but I worry that he'll be written off.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope not, rather. Wilhelmina, or however you say it, and Saudi Arabian investment fund, bro. Tom Wasley.
I don't know. I don't know if Pierpoint will be in it. I assume they have to because they've been so central. But
actually, that was a stupid question because on that interview they said Pierpoint is now done, so they're moving to New York, and so everything will be in that front. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else? There's Muck.
Yes.
You think Muck's quick? Okay. He's popular.
Unless he dies.
So okay. Any other characters I'm missing? I mean, the Daria.
Rishi and Vinay.
Rishi and Vinay is the big one.
I'll say yes.
I agree. I think he's had the Eric treatment. They talked about it as well. Like, they didn't have much planned for Rishi, but the actor really grew into his role so much so that they felt comfortable enough to give him his own episode. I feel like he'll probably get another episode for catch up in season 4. Am I missing any major characters, or did they get them all? Otto and Mustin, I assume they have to be back for Harper. Jesse Bloom's coming back. Adler's dead.
Yeah, that was kind of cruel. They had Eric fuck him over and then they killed Adler. And Eric didn't even seem to know that he died.
That is an interesting point. So 2 things on that was, one, do you think people said that it was a 4-month fast forward? Do you think Adler died in 4 months, or did he commit suicide when he felt it was going bad?
No, I think he probably died.
He died in 4 months, so he really was. He was a warrior to be as cohesive as he was on his last draw.
I thought they were trying to do that thing where it's like he had nothing else to live for, so he just died. His body gave up.
Okay, I mean that's. Normally, I'd agree with you, but yeah, at that young, I feel like you would want to, maybe as kid.
Yeah, but he was sick too. I feel like sometimes, maybe they could be right. I feel like they would have said if he killed himself. I mean, also, that's one of those things that TV fans do sometimes that kind of annoys me. Like, you're speculating about a thing. Like,
the timeline.
He died.
The timelines.
One way or the other, he died. I'm not sure why suicide really matters.
Well, the second question I have is, do you think that Bill and Adler, Adler and Eric, the Adler and Eric made up, and that he was surprised about, so he got invited.
Because Eric was an OG in terms of working with Adler. I don't think they made up. I think that's why Eric was surprised, and also
he
probably
didn't get
felt
invited.
Shitty.
He didn't get invited to the funeral. That's what I'm saying.
That could be true. Maybe that's why he didn't know. I didn't put that together. That is actually Adler. A good point.
yeah, I don't know. Okay. That's all I had for industry. You have anything else, or I'll wrap it up, Seeps? Anything else you want to talk about?
I think we've touched on enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I really rarely do I identify with TV shows like this. I'm really excited. I hope it's not another 2-year wait for season 4. But these characters and the showrunners have really produced some really great television. I think they took it season 2 and season 1 were really good TV shows. Season 3 has elevated it to almost a top 5 for me in my list. Season 3 of Seasons.
I don't know if I can go that far, but I do really enjoy it. I think currently it's one of the best shows on TV.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm excited.
There was 2 years between 2 and 3. It felt so fast.
There was, but wasn't there also COVID-related issues?
Strike, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that as well. Yes.
Wow, I thought season 2 came out season 3 came out after season, a year after season 2.
There was a long time then in which that time I was able to catch up.
You're right. Season 2 did come out. And, wow, I guess I didn't know. I didn't notice. I don't know what I was doing in 2023.
It's a small production
company.
Oh,
it was Succession. I think Succession filled the gap. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, I was what? Yeah. So HBO, good job. Really good programming. I'm excited to see season 4. Final word, Saves?
No, yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was an entertaining show before the season. I think season 3 is when it crossed over into being like a prestige TV show.
Yeah, I look forward to talking more about it with you. Like I said, hopefully not in 2 years. Until then.
Probably will be at least 2 years. I will tell you that. I would be surprised if it comes out any sooner than 2 years.
This is somewhat off topic. We'll finish it with industry, but just in Hollywood in general. Apparently, like, a lot of people are saying that, I feel like Trump, a lot of people are saying that
that was pretty good.
Hollywood is like kind of feeling financial restraint for the first time in like a long time, and that people who work in the industry are seeing like cutbacks happen very frequently.
Yeah.
And so I hope that doesn't affect more prestige TV shows like this, because industry is not a big budget, man. It's like no name actors really for the most part, or fresh faced, a small production company, and no name owners who probably came cheap, the showrunners who came cheap. So I hope more shows like this get a chance. And
it is a big concern what you're talking about. Like, I've become a big fan of this AMC show. I didn't
get that. Could you try again?
Sorry. Oh, what's going on?
Siri came on my phone and it heard you talk or something through my headphone or something.
That's pretty funny. I've become a fan of this Interview with the Vampire show. And
Interview with the Vampire.
Terrible viewership. But it's like one of the more critically acclaimed shows, and people are very concerned that it's not going to get a season 3, even though I think it's like an excellent TV show. Very, very well made.
Grey Worm. Oh, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, damn.
It's a fucking like. I don't know if you'd like it. We can talk about off camera why I don't think you'd like it, but it's really like. You can tell it's a well written show, and
but with vampires.
Yeah, with vampires. With vampires.
Interesting. Okay, it seems so serious, and then I look at the pictures, and there's like dressed up in vampire clothes. Like, it's not what I had in my mind.
I put off watching it for a long time, and then I started watching it because Netflix got season 1, and I was like, Jesus, this is unbelievable television.
Netflix.
But it is one of those things. People.
I will give it 1 episode, Sebastian, and I'll report back next episode or next pod. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Thank you for coming and staying for like a long time talking about this and Bool with Brian and stuff. So appreciate it. See you guys next week. Take care.
Peace.
Hello. Welcome back to Bool Boys Pod. I think officially this is episode 52, guys. So we have reached the 1 year mark. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Round of applause to the guys. Round of applause.
Go,
Well done. We got Brian back. I'm very happy to have him back. He's been very busy at work, so glad I got him. And
glad
then Siege is here. Yeah, Siege is here. This is going to be more of a free-flowing type of pod. We don't have a structured outline or anything. A couple of things happened. Our fantasy basketball draft order was released, so we're going to talk about that. We'll do our classic Bool or Bust top 5. And then at the end, me and Steve have been following along with industry, so we're going to talk about the finale, which I really enjoyed. It's like I told Steve, it's one of the best finales I've seen in my adult life, so we'll talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah. Brian, you should hop on it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's complicated because it's not a series finale, so they could totally fuck it up season 4, even though it did feel like a series finale. So
I would have been fine if they ended it there. Yeah, we'll get into it.
Me too. I was surprised.
Okay, Brian, we got our fantasy b-ball rankings. Let's start with that. We'll do a little bit on fantasy because I believe we're going to draft in the next month, right? On the 19th. Next couple
couple
weeks,
weeks, I think.
Yeah,
I believe the 20th.
Okay.
My mother's birthday.
Very nice.
People are happy about this.
Just a quick reminder, I did win the championship last year, so that would be
New
the
season.
end of my new season.
You should take a page from Joe Mazzulla and basically ignore that you won the title. It doesn't. Yeah. It means nothing. This is what he. I don't want to see any championship
like safe space. I won't do that, dude. Well, you see my championship shirt behind me, dude.
That would actually be kind of sick if you made a championship shirt. Yeah, I would respect it.
I pitched that to Andrew. I was like, you have a shirt, and every year you put in like a badge for the person who won, and they can keep it in their room. And he nixed it, commission nixed it. So there you go.
No, I think that we should all chip in to make a custom championship shirt for the champion every year. That has like a specific,
yeah, it would be our Shiva Kamini of sorts. let me go through the order. Actually, Steve, why don't you go through the order? You have a special reason too.
I only know the pick that matters, which is myself at number 1.
Yeah, so
I also know Nam is 2 and Jesse is 3. You can pick up from
correct.
Yeah.
So Sebastian won the draft. We did marbles this year. Last year we did the Smash tournament. Mixed opinions on Smash. We thought marbles we thought was safer. Apparently, like my beef was that it was the same day thing, and then I didn't get to see it, which is always fun. But Andrew did it at 6 on the day, and he did marbles. He streamed it, but there's obviously a little wrinkle here is that there's no recording of said marbles run.
I mean, so, I was in the room watching it, and because I got 7th pick, I think it was just me, Andrew, Jesse, and I think Arya in the room. And then because I got 7th pick and because Andrew got 8th pick, I was like, dude, just reset it and look away, dude. Reset it and look away. But hey, our good man Jesse, because he's the 3rd pick, before we could drum up anything conspiratorial, he took a picture and
did you really?
Yeah. Before we could drum up anything conspiratorial, he just immediately took a picture and put it in the chat. And we're like, all right, man. Fair
I don't
enough.
know if I should reveal this.
Securing the bag, so to speak, Brian.
I was in the camp initially that we probably should do it again. Not many people saw it, and a little birdie happened to whisper to me that I got the first pick, and you should. I think they just said you'll be happy. Don't say you won another one. And I was like, well, he did it to the side, and I was like, oh. Okay, and that's when I became these results should stand type person.
That's fair. Seems you haven't had the first pick. Let's be clear, right?
I can't remember if I've ever had the first pick. There was the lottery year or like the handicap year where they gave us all higher picks.
You were 4. You were bottom. It was me. It was Nam, and then Johnny. Then you. When you guys were
okay.
Yeah, when you guys were no one took it seriously back in the day. That was the order.
It was the most serious. It was 14 teams.
But okay, let me rephrase it. I wasn't taking it seriously. Actually, I was unlucky. How about that?
I mean, I take great umbrage with this because that was the year I won the title, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. But that was the only high pick you've had, is what I mean to say. Like, I think when we did the recap last year, I think Johnny has not received the first pick. I had not received the first pick. I don't think Nam received it. I think it was you and one more person had not received a number 1 pick. And so you got your chance this time. I'm happy for you. Let's finish up the order. We go from Sebastian, Nam, Jesse to Arya. Dark horse player, I think, underrated. Arjun, going for the 3-time champ. Sean, will it be a Yang Bang year or will it be a Shanio year? I don't know. We'll see. Brian, then coming up with Brian, Andrew, Justin. Andrew, Justin, 8-9 is always lolsy because they mindfuck and psyop each other and they pick each other's teams and they make it weaker. So that's good for the league. Then we follow up with Connor, Johnny, and then me. So Brian, anything before? I have one thing to say on the order, but go ahead, Brian. Any comments on the order, on your pick or anything?
Oh, I feel like I have a lot. I mean, just first and foremost, I feel like Johnny never has a good pick, and I'm not
He
even saying that
doesn't.
to throw
He
shade. I just like
doesn't.
feel bad. Like I feel like he never has a really high
Well,
superstar pick.
let me interject because I did bring this fact up. The one time he did have it, he picked Jokic. I picked Cat right after him. He wanted to trade immediately.
That's
And
right.
so
That's
I do feel that it kind of is a thing where it's being taken out of his hands, the self-destructive behavior.
That is right.
The fantasy gods are helping him out.
I do think he's due. He's due for a high pick for sure. You're right. Johnny gets exceptionally shafted. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, in terms of my personal pick, 7, I feel like historically is like, oh, it's just like right in the middle. It's pretty bad. But, if you look at the rankings or just look at the available players, there's a lot of good talent. I'm of the opinion that at 7, I'll get somebody good. Even if it's like Jason Tatum, who's just boring, I won't
AD.
be mad. Exactly. AD might be there. And then even more to add to that point, I have 2 wild cards in front of me with Nam and Sean. So you just never know who's going to be available. So I do feel as though I will get somebody good. It's not, obviously I'm not going to get the cream of the crop where watching will be also hype, but I'll get a good player, and so I'm not particularly disappointed.
So let me go.
Yeah.
While you're thinking, Sebastian, let me just list off the top 12 ranked players that we have on the ESPN rankings. We know they're not the greatest,
by the way.
Which are not
horrible.
the greatest.
Yeah.
But just to give some reference to any listeners, so they have Wembanyama at 1, Doncic at 2, Jokic at 3, Shea at 4, Tyrese at 5, Joel at 6, AD at 7, Donovan Mitchell, your boy, at 8. Brian, he's there for you. Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Trae Young, and then Chet. And surprising to me is like Steph is down at 17, Giannis is down at 13. LeBron is at 20, KD 22, Ja at 23. So they really, I think, prioritized games and overall stats, maybe, or more so than anything. I don't know. Brian, Sebastian, you had something?
No, I was just trying to think of who would be 7th. AD at 7th feels like a real risk. I mean, he was great last year, but I mean, you are hoping for 2 pretty much healthy seasons in a row. I think there does seem to be quite a big drop off after that 7th. Although Steph being 17, that's weird. As much as I hated the experience of having him in fantasy last year, I'm not sure he should be that low. And Ant at 9 is depressing to me. I was hoping like I could sneak a 3rd year in a row, maybe even a 4th year. I'm not sure how many years it's been, but it's one of those painful things that when you don't play a man's league with keepers, you do lose your favorite players.
Ant does feel like... Oh, go ahead, Ash.
No, go ahead, Brian. Finish on Ant.
I was going to say, Ant does feel like somebody who, in our league, would fall farther than you.
That would be a big mistake. I think he's going to have a massive year because Cat's gone. Mike Conley's going to be less available, I'd say. They're going to save his legs. I think Ant will be more of a creator. I would say Ant. I might take Ant over AD at 7, honestly. I'm not psyoping. Like, I'm just thinking about it. Mitchell is an interesting one that high because I could see the case for it, but if the Cavs are going to be good, I actually think he's going to have to take a step back statistically.
I did a little bit of live work, started to do some research, and what I saw at 12, my pick was I did see Jason Tatum a couple times. I did see Donovan Mitchell a couple times. I saw Devin Booker there. I saw Steph a couple times. So like, I think Donovan Mitchell at 8 does seem a little bit high. Brian, you had him last year. Like he had a great year last year, right? Or his best statistical year, if I'm not mistaken. And do you think he's worthy of a top 10 pick?
I mean, I think the main concern is just injury. Like he is a lot more injury prone. At least he was last year. And I think in general misses more games than you think. It's the same with like Tyrese, like I had Tyrese and Donovan. And, when those guys were both playing, it was awesome. But those guys are pretty I mean, I think we could just say outright that Tyrese is a pretty injury-prone player. Like,
I think
2 seasons in a row of 50-ish games is not great. He's obviously good, but that's the huge risk you run.
Even Booker kind of is, because I was thinking Booker would be good in place of Mitchell, but Booker also is pretty injury prone.
I want to talk about Booker a little bit later. He's fallen down on this thing. I think this is a little bit silly how far these people have fallen. But just to finish out the top 15 players, 2 players that stood out to me in their position was Chet and Giannis at 12-13. Any comments on Chet being so high or why Giannis dropped? I was talking to Andrew and he said Arjun might consider Giannis all the way up at 6 or 7. What is Arjun?
I think that's
5.
fair. I think
5, yeah.
The Giannis
health thing. So that's a high variability for that type of player from 5 to 12, 7 or 8 spots. Where do you think he goes? Where's your gut feeling of where he should go, rather?
Giannis?
Yeah. You're breaking free throws, right? You're breaking free throws.
I'm not picking him, so I don't give a fuck.
At 8?
At 7th, I think that's not that bad.
No, it wouldn't be that bad. I just don't think I really want him, honestly.
Yeah, watching the Bucks is kind of a drag.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, and what about Chet?
Chet, I think, is the stocks case. That's very valuable. Also, percentages are pretty high. And you assume that he'll take a bigger offensive load, although I don't know how much is going to be possible since, Jalen has to eat, Shea has to eat. And then there's going to be times where Chet's playing the 4, depending on matchups, because of Hartenstein. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think Chet will have a pretty big year, though.
So to finish the Chet thing, he's projected at 18, 8, 2 assists, 2 threes, good field goal percentage and good free throw percentage. 2.5 blocks, and so 3 stocks basically. So yeah, even so, it's pretty high. I did see him a couple times at 12 on my mocks as well. Just okay. Let me do this little piece on my 12th, and then we'll talk about some of the followers. I was just it was comical to me that the 1 year after I get the first pick, I go instantly back to 12. I would have been fine with absolutely anyone, even a worse pick, theoretically 7 or 8, because it would mean that the numbers are regressing to their mean in some sense. But to go back to instantly to 12, it felt like this is how it's always going to be. And last year was just an aberration, a fluke of some sorts.
Hey, you won.
I won, yeah. It's fine. But
it's fine, dude.
That's why I know I'm not allowed to be upset about my number 12 because I literally just got the first one, but literally any other number would have been fine with me besides 12.
I think 12 is actually not that bad.
I know 12 is better. 12 is better than some other ones, I know, but just the mental gymnastics of being the last after literally getting first after being last all those years prior. It was just a little bit annoyed. I
understand because I think I've had 12 in fantasy football 3 years in a row, and I'm accustomed to it, and I still finished. It's a little bit different in ours. The top 4 teams you can only get 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it's randomized. And somehow out of those 4 teams, I'm ending up 12th every year because I'm finishing top 4 every year still.
So it's a mini lottery system.
Yeah, sort of like a river. Yeah, everybody else who finishes 5th through 12th can get any pick, but if you're 1 through 4, you can only get one of the back 4, and I'm ending up with 12, which in the grand scheme is working out, but you do feel like you're falling behind when you're picking.
Did you end up winning last year in fantasy football?
No, I finished 4th. It's 2 years in a row of finishing 4th. It's very heartbreaking because it ended a streak of years of always at least getting my money back, and finishing 4th is the worst place to finish.
That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Sebastian, but
no, it's fine. This year we're looking good.
Your fortunes have changed.
We're looking good so far. Injuries have started to wreck the team, but let's not get too off topic.
You're going
end up with
for
a whole
ring number
full-on
3
roster baiting segment. Yeah. This would be ring 5, I believe, in the history of our league.
Your 5th
4
ring?
or 5. In the history of the league since high school, this would be my 4th or 5th, I believe, if I win the next one.
Good.
So, but what was all this? What was all this talk about Arjun getting to 3? That's only in the modern era.
Oh, I'm talking about in football. You're talking about basketball. This would be 2.
Yeah,
I'm still looking for 2 in basketball.
Okay.
In the real
Okay.
sport, I'm
Oh, yeah, I know.
much
You're
more
a
accomplished.
killer in fantasy football.
It was pretty funny at the wedding when I was sitting with Josh's brother. Yeah, we talked about it a bit.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Last thing on fantasy before, unless you guys have anything, of course, before we move on to Bool or Buzz top 5 is, I was looking at 20 to 30, and there were some like pretty noticeable names. So I'm curious why they dropped. We talked about one of them which was D-Book, all the way down to 28.
Really?
But people like Brunson, who you had last year and popped off by all accounts, is down at 25. I was looking at him at like maybe the end of the second round. Sorry, I guess that's kind of technically it. But then John Moran at 23, Banchero at 33. All
That's
these
efficiency.
like really, all these. I mean, Dame James are obviously washed. De'Aaron Fox at 21, KD at 22. So the 3 I want to talk about was KD at 22, Jalen Brunson at 25, and Book at 28. Any of these, like KD's by all accounts, he slowed down a little bit, but he's still like a dynamic shooter who gets really good percentages, gets stocks, rebounds, threes, everything. Phil, he's a stat stuffer. Why is he dropped so low?
He's getting the treatment that AD probably should be getting, honestly, where it's like the ticking time bomb treatment, I feel.
He played 75 games last year.
That's the thing. You're betting on a guy who has really bad health problems being very healthy 2 years in a row. Also, if the Suns are not to be a total failure, I would assume KD is not going. They're not going to ask him to take on that much of a load, because like 75 games for a guy like that is wearing him down. You could tell in the playoffs he was pretty worn down.
Conversely, then to exactly your point, why is Booker so low? Then wouldn't you expect Booker to rise up?
That one I don't understand. The only thing I can think about with Booker is like look at the games played every season. I don't think he cracks 70 hardly ever.
So 68 last year, projected for 70 on the nose this year, Sebastian. All right, on the dot.
Yeah, and then the year before he played 53, the year before 68, 67. He hasn't cracked 70 games since 1920, which was the bubble. He hasn't really cracked 70 in a normal season since 16-17.
So is Phoenix just fucked then?
No, I mean I don't understand why Booker is always hurt. Like it's always different injuries too. Like maybe his body's just kind of fragile. I don't like saying that about a guy, but you know, like guys like OG kind of are similar, but OG has much more of a stigma. Booker seems to. Nobody really talks about the fact that he's going to miss around 15 to 20 games every year.
So then that leads into Brunson, who Brian knows very well. Why don't you tell us about what the experience of having Brunson is like?
I had him the year before. He's very fun. Yeah,
yeah, he pops off. I'm sure. Brian, Brian has come on this pod
ultimate,
beaming because of a Jalen Brunson pop off, so we know it. So tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, he did start off the season slow. Potentially that factors in to his low ranking, but I personally believe he had an actual, like, true breakout. You know, whatever top, 10 value, whatever you want to call it. I think he's a legit good player. But outside of scoring, he doesn't. In terms of fantasy, he doesn't provide that much. I do wonder if that's probably why he is lower. I do think he's better than a lot of these players that are above him, but I think there's something with the ESPN algorithm that they just kind of factor in, like, I don't know, like team success or something like that, or I have no idea, honestly, but I do think he should be higher than 25.
More mouths to feed, maybe.
Yeah, that's the only thing I thought, is that they anticipate New York winning a lot of games by a handy margin. Maybe doesn't play that much, and or more mouths to feed, like Sebastian said.
Towns,
Bridges, Towns, and all that stuff. So, but then you would, the name recognition with ESPN is crazy, because right above Jalen is Damian Lillard, our favorite player, who by all accounts had a much worse last year. He's almost 5 or 6% less on field goal 3 points less, more turnovers, basically the same assists, threes, and rebounds. Maybe one more rebound a game, but he's higher.
He got the Goggins boost, bro.
Oh, you mean he worked out? Yeah, he worked out.
He put himself through boot camp to see. I read some quote from him that I read the quote and I literally typed in, "Why is Damian Lillard so insufferable?" to Google to see if it was a talked about thing, and people don't really talk about it because I actually when Dame does interviews, I find him to be quite likable. It's just the quotes he gives are like, "Bro, like stop, like just be normal. Why you gotta be so try hard?" Like, but I put myself through boot camp to like show myself I still wanted it. It was something like that, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like, whatever you say, bro.
It's cheesy, corny, whatever you want to call it. But I was so in on Milwaukee last year, and they disappointed me. So I'm hoping for. I genuinely think that pick and roll should be near unguardable, but they haven't been able to work it out. I don't know what's going on. So
there's issues with it, yeah. Also,
I think Dame is just washed, honestly.
Middleton is a big problem. Middleton is not going to play like more than 40 games, and they're going to have two players that defenses zero in on, and it's going to be very challenging for them.
The team is washed in general, to Brian's point.
Like, I think they're the oldest team in the league.
Oh, okay. There you go.
4 starters over 30.
Oh, yeah. Brooke and Middleton are definitely getting close to the end of the wash cycle. Anything else on fantasy? We did a quick thing. I'm sure we'll do a more in-depth one after we get our fantasy drafts going and stuff.
But touch on the dilemma.
What's the dilemma?
One dilemma? It's Jokic versus Wemby. Jokic versus Wemby. It's the 1 year I kind of wish I didn't have the first pick. I would have preferred second, so it was taken out of my hands.
Don't you think? Yeah, go ahead. Say your piece.
Well, you know what you're gonna get from Jokic. I think Wemby, if it all goes to plan, he has to be the first pick overall. But like the way Pop was acting at media day, Pop's all excited and happy, which makes you know Pop doesn't think much of his Spurs team. Like he doesn't really think they should go out and try to win games. That's a point I heard somebody make on a podcast, like a Spurs beat writer, and I was like, that is a good point. Pop's usually miserable if they're a good team. And the fact that Pop's like jovial, joking around, it makes me think like, what if he just like rests Wemby a lot or doesn't put a lot of load on him? And like, what if I'm just stuck with like a 60 game Wemby? And the Spurs are shit, and it's all very painful. Whereas
we'll hear from Wemby's biggest hater. Don't worry.
You're gonna get 82 games.
Biggest fan, dude.
The biggest fan.
I think you gotta try really hard to hate Wemby at this point. I feel like it's kind of an impossible task.
It's so dank. But one thing I'll interject is he actually has a good point guard now. A washed point guard who's old, but we'll get him easy looks. That's the lead.
That's another point people have made. Every young guy who plays with Chris Paul tends to have like their big breakthrough boost, like SGA. There was somebody else that was mentioned, but
Harden.
Harden. That was the one that probably didn't work out. Last year with Podziemski, he kind of helped him out. Like it does seem to be.
That's a reach, bro.
I think he kind of. Well, he has the Warriors thinking Podziemski. Yeah, Pods was really good, and you think the Warriors seem to think they're going to build around Podziemski after Steph's gone, which I would really love to see. But I think
we're going to build around Jalen Horton-Tucker.
I think Pods is a little better than THT. I don't think he's a cornerstone. Like I kind of laugh at that, but I do think he has much higher upside than THT.
Okay. Wemby's biggest fan, reformed. Final word on this. Who are you taking and why?
I personally would just take Wemby for two main reasons. I mean, he obviously had a great season last year. And that was like, I think the second half of the season where he was like really going off was just more indicative of like who he's really going to be. I'm sure there's a chance, obviously, he's still young. He'll start off slow. You're basically a shoo-in for winning blocks every week. If that's kind of like, if when you get Wemby, I think his projection is like 4-ish blocks. Pretty absurd.
It's so crazy.
It's probably an easy one then. It's not a dilemma anymore.
And then narrative-wise, I think, coming into the Olympics, he did care a lot. Seemed like, got to the gold medal game and it was like crying and shit after they lost the game. And I do think Wemby is the type of player to kind of take that into consideration and like come in to the season pretty hot, and I think it was like also a indication to him that he like really can hang with the top guys at a high stress level. So I personally would pick Wemby, and I'd also just kind of do it for the hype. Obviously, you can't go wrong.
That's the biggest reason, yeah.
But I think the hype's going to be pretty sick.
You get to be on the ground floor of something great.
He gave all the right quotes after the Olympics, where it was like the rest, I'm coming for everybody or whatever it was.
Exactly.
And it was like, I guess I probably should pick him. I think if it was anybody else, they wouldn't struggle. But I've wanted Jokic for so long to be reunited, and now I'm gonna have to pass on it. It feels wrong.
I saw the beginnings of Jokic kind of getting season management last year.
I think that's a big issue too.
Yeah, this year I expect it to be more because their roster is even thinner. I don't think they will care about getting first or second. As long as they're top 4, I think they'll be fine, and they'll rest him heavily.
I don't know if he fixed his wrist either in the off season. That was a big issue. Why his 3-pointers dipped so much? He had like a wrist injury.
I see. Okay. Yeah. But I guess the real question, the final question we have for the draft is who will Nom pick at number 2, and we'll just leave it there. We'll leave it there. The questions are endless.
I'll put money on SGA.
Yeah, that's something a little bit unusual because I think Luka and Jokic are too straight arrow for Nom. He needs to throw a curveball in there.
He could pick Luka, but the calf contusion, I feel like that's going to throw things off.
A calf contusion is a bruise. Why are we Is this a psyops? Is this a psyops?
This is
in the pod.
Maybe this is just maybe because I'm playing fantasy football right now, and calf injuries are like wrecking the league. Especially Christian McCaffrey was the number 1 overall pick in a lot of leagues. He hasn't played this season. He has tendonitis in both calves, and it's Achilles tendonitis / calves. Like it's both, and people are like panicking, and he's not going to be available till November. And there's people talking of it's a big clusterfuck, and all the talk is like calves are the new like
ACL.
Not AC. Yeah, calves are like the new hamstring, I think is what people are saying. Like once you got a hamstring issue, it never goes away. Like people are making that point. And so maybe I'm just traumatized from seeing that happen in the other sport, but it feels like calves are things you don't want to play with in this day and age.
It's fair.
Luka's already started off the season hobbled. So it continues the trend of, we heard all playoffs last year, hobbled Luka, and it's just going to be hobbled Luka for 82 games this year, and it's going to be very funny, and it's going to irritate our favorite Clippers reporter.
As hype as he is to watch, I wouldn't want to deal with him being day-to-day, like 3 times a week or something. It'd be pretty rough.
Hobbled Luka.
And stressful. Okay, let's wrap up fantasy. We still got to go to Bool or Bust top 5.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll take a break. We'll just move right into it. So, Bool or Bust. Anyone want to start us off?
I can go.
Go ahead, Brian.
Had a recent bust. I have like a shoulder impingement. I think I had mentioned to you guys I had been doing this boxing class, which has been sick, honestly, but I actually have to take a break from it because I think I was just like going too ham on the heavy bags and form slipping a little bit and so kind of like the shock wave of my extremely powerful punches. No, I'm playing. But you know what I mean? Basically, if you don't hit it with great form, you're gonna get hurt. So I've had to manage that a bit. Not the worst thing. It's not like cripplingly bad. I can still work out around it, let's say, but that has been quite busty, I'll say.
Has that been your main source of like cardio? Are you kind of stepping back on the bike and stuff in LA?
Yeah, I don't have my bike here, and then in general, I just don't like biking in LA. So I do hopefully plan to bring my bike up at some point, but
you're near the beach though, right? Not dank on the beach.
Like the beach is chill, but it's like leisure, right? It's just very crowded. It's always very crowded at the beach, and see, you're not
gotta go ham with people
you can still
sunbathing.
you can still get like a good, obviously like a good workout in is better than nothing, but you can't really like bike fast there.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah.
Um,
Not about the beach, but that there's like no like biking only trails in LA. But yeah, you live in either.
there are, but they're kind of far. Is all.
I see. But also, you just like to mix it up every now and then, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
In terms of a Bool, I don't know. I've been eating a lot of Thai food. It's pretty damn good.
It's very
Like, so we have a lot of food top fives, but I don't talk about Thai food a lot. I just like there's a lot of good places around here. I've been eating it a bunch. Boat noodle specifically, pretty damn good.
Boat noodles.
It's just like rice noodle and like meat. It's basically like the Thai version of pho. It doesn't really taste that similar, but it's like kind of a similar dish. But that'll be my Bool. Pretty simple one, Thai food.
Very nice. Okay. Steve, do you want to go?
Sure. I don't really have much busty. There's just 3 quick Bools. I'm a big fan of this Mickey Van de Ven run that he made against Manchester United. I really like that guy. He's a very dynamic center back. You don't see it very often, and I'm pretty happy he's getting the acclaim I feel he deserves. I think that was just something I really enjoyed from this past week of sports. I've watched that run many times.
I can understand your Romero love because of the national team connection, but I don't understand the Van de Ven love.
I just love the way he plays. He's tremendous to watch.
He's electric.
I think there was a match last year where I think we beat Spurs, or maybe we drew Spurs, and I think we would have won like 6-0 if it wasn't for him. And I was just constantly like, this guy is unbelievable. And I've just been very impressed by him. I'm happy to see him get the acclaim I think he deserves. That was just a quick one. Then
sure.
I've been doing a lot of like high incline walking. We got a new treadmill.
Nice.
And it's like very low impact. And I've been dealing with this like knee, kind of calf tendonitis, I guess you could say. I guess you could say I have sort of
bias,
on my right leg. What?
You're biased. That's why you think calves are the new.
Every time I think it's gone, it comes back, and like today I'm feeling it quite bad. But this incline walking, I feel, is a good way to still get cardio in without putting too much stress on it. So you crank it up to like a 10 or a 12, and you walk for like 2 miles, and you burn like 400-ish calories. It's pretty good. And it's hard, but it's not as hard as like running a mile. And then the third Bool is just Jaden Daniels. Really been enjoying the young man and what he's done for my fantasy football team so far this year. I don't want to jinx anything, but there's hope again.
Where did he play? In college?
LSU. He won the Heisman with LSU, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, solid. Happy week for Sebastian. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. I will start with a Bool, and then I do have a bust, unfortunately. Bool would be started my 1-year course at UCI today. Zoom sessions with it's for like working professionals. So there's like a very small class, like 6 or 7 people, but professor was cool, and I'm excited. I haven't challenged my brain in a long time to learn something new. So I'm excited to try it. It's been a while since undergrad. And then bust, unfortunately, my dear grandmother passed away yesterday in the morning. She had been having, I think I told you, she's who I visited in Tennessee like a couple months back. She's been having some was in the throes of pretty bad Alzheimer's for like 2 years. When I visited her, she was sleeping 23 hours a day. She was eating, but she wouldn't open her eyes. So we kind of like knew it was coming. My dad's there right now. And I think overall, obviously I'm very sad, but I'm more sad for my grandfather because he got to see his partner. They've been married for 73 years. Can you believe that? 73 years. Yeah. Like he saw for the last 3 years, he just saw her go down and down. So he's very sad right now. I'm sad for the family, but yeah, starting something new and then another chapter closes. So yeah, that's my Bool or bust. We can move to top peace. 5. Thank you.
Rest in peace, my condolences.
Thank you. So top 5 is a little more light and airy. It's the top 5 worst social media trends. Basically, I started up the top 5, the rotation this week, and I've been watching a lot of shorts, and I just get so damn frustrated with some of the content that is pushed out. So I thought that's kind of the crux of this week's top 5. Anybody want to go first?
I can go.
Again, let Brian go first.
Keep the order, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of took it was top 5, worst social media trends, and it kind of just became like what I hate about the internet, which is
basically,
so,
that's fair.
At number 5, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's like the Demure mindful meme.
I've accepted it.
I've seen it so many times, dude.
I mean, just for quick summary, it's like, you're doing something and you're, very demure, very mindful. It's just very brain dead.
My mom knows what it is.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I think this is like really one of the first years. It's like, I'm just losing touch, dude. Like demure is not that crazy of a word. That's kind of what I'm assuming. That's what I'm assuming why it's become like kind of a popular trend, because it's like, oh, demure is such like a word from out of left field. It's like, dude, it's like not really that out of left field. And I just see it a bunch, and it's kind of like, I'm kind of losing touch with the youngins, folks.
Can I ask you a question, Brian?
Sure.
Have you seen the original?
I have.
I don't like the original.
Yes.
The large S woman. Yes, okay.
I'm not a fan of the original.
Yeah. That's fine, Sebastian. I don't think it's like Steve, Brian was talking about demure and like the word choice. I don't think it's the word choice. Isn't it just because the message came from that source?
Yes.
Like that source was lecturing you on how to be demure and mindful. Did I read it wrong?
No, I mean, you could be totally right. But then if that's the case, then it's like, yeah, we just making fun of this fat lady? Like, that's kind of fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, it's like, that's fucked up. What, the whole internet is making fun of this large woman? That's messed up. But
I think they're like doing it in like a yes queen type way.
Sure.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry. I just had to ask.
No. That'll be number 5. At number 4, this is probably too much of a blanket statement, but just like TikTok dances in general. I think just like, I'm thinking, more power to the young man, but I think Jared McCain just kind of gives me kind of a pet peeve because he's a big TikTok dance guy. I'm happy for the guy. I think he should be able to do whatever he wants, but every time you kind of see like he's at a media event, and then it's not the TikTok video of him. It's like the third person view of somebody taking a video of him doing a TikTok video. And it's just like, man, like you do, but that's just too much. Just getting kind of sick of it. I mean, I think it's here to stay.
Yeah.
But I think it's given an excuse for people who with no rhythm to think that they should dance. But I digress.
No, you're right on point, Brian.
At number 3, I have YouTube thumbnails. I think that it has become too homogenous of how people try to market their videos now. Of like the surprised face, whatever. Like
one explosion, yeah.
One big arrow here, and then like, you won't believe, or whatever, the craziest thing that's ever happened. And, sometimes I think YouTube tries to push more recommendations of just like really small channels. And, you got like very small channels doing this. So it has become this weird thing where it's like so homogenous. And this, this goes into my own pretentious little, I don't know, rant of like, it's like, there's just like a complete loss of like, creativity of like how people communicate, and I think that kind of feeds just into like how people talk in their YouTube videos, but YouTube thumbnails in particular, it's like, yeah, this crazy thing happened, blah 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 blah. Then of course I'm just gonna click on it because I'm brain dead at this point, and just like, this is not interesting at all.
Nothing crazy ever happens.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's awful.
Yeah. At number 2, I have just red pill shit.
It's a good one.
I
have something
I'll do
similar.
it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, not really much to say about this one. I think just like the woman hating, just bad. I usually just see it on shorts. Something will slip in, like a Tate thing will slip in or something, and probably some of them I'll watch, and then so that probably tells the algorithm like I must love this shit, but then I just get one too many. It's just like dude, like enough is enough. Just getting kind of sick of it. And it's also not just Red Pill; it's about the discourse it creates of like, what was I watched a YouTube video yesterday of like, so that's the thing. It's a YouTuber that usually talks about games, but then their video was like nice girls versus nice guys, right? And it was just basically like a feminism versus Red Pill debate, and you kind of just think of like, man, people just need to go outside, dude. Like, so you're not even involved in this whole discourse, but like, you launch into a whole impassioned speech about men versus women and whatever, woman hating and blah blah blah. And it's just like I've had enough. And then the last one is, just AI. I think this one's pretty general, but I think we're starting to see more of AI just be, you see it in like the AI voice of, people starting to do like, that like narrates their videos, which I think is just trash. And then I think we're just starting to see more and more stuff of like, like AI
slop.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, like AI. Yeah, exactly. AI, like we're here. It happened pretty quickly, but the AI slop is here already.
There's a very funny account on Twitter that I follow that's insane Facebook AI slop. And it's like, I don't want to be mean, Ashwin, but it's a lot of people on Facebook from your country.
My country. My country.
No, your country.
You mean America, Sebastian?
No, I mean from your motherland. Pushing like, you'll like this for $1,000 or something, and it's like fucking baby in American flag clothes, like singing on American Idol.
So is it an NFT or is it like a tweet? What is it?
They're like, I think people are posting them on Facebook because old people can't tell that it's AI. They like it a bunch. They get money for engagement, and it's like a ridiculous cycle.
Can I break the flow of the pod to give a little story on my grandfather? What happened to him last week?
Sure.
On your point, Sebastian, like someone called him like pretending to be, I think it was Bank of America, and it was the Indian guy. And he starts off with like uncle. He calls him uncle, and then he asks him about his life and stuff. And he's apparently like he needed like a seed fund of like $800 to like do something, and my grandfather just sent it to him and stuff.
Oh no!
And like
that sucks, man.
This is after like the thing is my grandfather at 94 is still very sharp, like much sharper than you would anticipate at 94.
Sure.
Like, and so he takes care of everything, but that also allows him to be like have access to his phone. So he always answers every call, even if he doesn't recognize the phone number. And for like 10 years, we have told him, if you don't recognize the phone number, they'll leave a voicemail. If they need to get to you, it's fine. But he insists on picking up everyone, and it's been happening so much now. It's like the way it was described to me was so funny because it was basically an Indian person who recognized that he was an Indian and basically like took that angle and went with it and like called him uncle and was like sympathizing with his wife who had Alzheimer's and stuff. They're pretty fucking
they are
shiesty, dude.
Yeah,
shiesty as fuck.
100%.
Yeah. So you can call out Indian people; they'll even do it to their own. Sebastian, it's fine. Like Guru Bhai and like Vaisab and Dadaji, they'll do it. Go ahead though.
Oh, I mean that's basically it. I like as I made this list, it was just like I would consider myself a pretty internet trendy guy, but I'm losing it, boys. Yeah. I'm losing it, dude.
Yeah.
I'll go next because I stepped on one of my own when I talked about AI slop because I had it on there, so I feel like I have to go now.
Sure.
5, I'll say I had a different list, and as you were going, Brian helped me remember things I do hate. So 5 will go with there's like this trend of teachers I see on their video taken from Twitter or taken from TikTok and they're reshared on Twitter. And it's like teachers sitting in their car talking about like, you don't understand how bad this generation of kids are. They can't even read. And it's like, fuck off, dude. Like, do your fucking job. Like, I'm pretty sure if they had put our teachers, if our teachers had access to make dumbass TikTok videos, I'm pretty sure our teachers would have said the same shit. Like, we're so fucked in the future. Like, it's every fucking generation always thinks like the next generation's gonna fuck them over if they don't think about things intelligently. And I'm not enjoying seeing the millennials and I guess Gen Z to an extent, because there are some of these people who are like early 20s teachers talking about like, oh, that next generation are very stupid. And it's like fuck off. Like I don't enjoy people who shit on the future generations. I don't think it's useful. Like and I'm seeing it a lot recently. Like you're gonna die and they're gonna be here, and like you're gonna have to leave the world in a place where yeah. So like even at our age, like we have to recognize like Gen Z's coming. They are here already, honestly. Yeah, like so stop being bitches about things and like stop shitting on them because it's not helpful. I don't feel that the generation, like maybe Gen X were slightly nicer to us than we're being to Gen Z. That's maybe what I'd say.
I'll actually plus one to that. I probably would have added that to my list if I remembered. I think that like Gen Z versus millennial is like the lowest form of conversation.
I agree, actually.
You know what I mean?
That's basically what I'm getting at. Yeah, that's a good way to summarize what I'm saying.
I think that's a great point. Like I probably would have added that to my list if I remember.
Also, like articles about it too. Like
I think it's like the lowest form of.
This is what's scary about Gen Z. It's like nothing's fucking scary, man. Like fuck off. So yeah, I'll go with that at 5. 4, I have. Let's just go with Crypto Bros. Crypto Bros, you know,
it's a good one.
On Twitter all the time, like calling everybody who doesn't believe in what they're pushing as dumbasses, and you don't even know what's gonna happen. Like, it's a very toxic culture. You can tell they've lost a lot of money, a lot of them, and I feel like it overlaps with. I guess I'll transition it into number 3, which is I'll go with the same thing Brian went with the like manosphere, red pill type misogynistic discourse. I see it a lot on UFC posts. It's not even just like necessarily misogynistic. You'll see like pretty bigoted ideas out there that have just become kind of normalized, and it's kind of whack. Like I don't know when it became chill to like revert to being hateful all of a sudden again for basically no reason. So I guess the reversion to like fashy ideas essentially being more mainstream. That's problematic to me. 2, this is kind of benign. Maybe I should have been number 3, but it didn't transition as well. I'll go with like loud streamers. Like, why you gotta be so loud all the time, bro? Like there's one in particular I'm thinking of who I really don't like. He's a big fan of a sport that Ashwin and I enjoy talking about a lot. He's a young man who I kind of wish would disappear from the face of the planet.
Not Mark Goldbridge. Don't say Mark.
No, Mark Goldbridge is chill. He's a young man. Mark Goldbridge is older than us, I think.
Okay.
And if he's not, he looks horrible for his age. If he's younger than us, I'll just say this about Mark. But Mark's fine. No, I'm talking about an American. He jumps over cars sometimes, and very annoying. Very annoying individual. Although he
took out Kaká from the back. That was a red card. That was whack, at a charity match. What the fuck are you doing,
I will say one thing about him that I've started to see recently is he does seem to do a lot of charitable work. So maybe I'm being a dick. Like maybe he is a decent guy who's just annoying. I just feel like this like ADHD yelling stuff is a really low bar of entertainment. Kai Cenat is kind of similar, but I like Kai because I feel like he doesn't do it all the time. But it's just like the upticks in volume is very disruptive to my ears. Like, please keep a steady volume. Like, why are we yelling? You're at home. Like, it's not that exciting. Like, we don't need to be yelling about things. But yeah, that's number 2. And then 1 is AI slop. Well, I already broke it down on Brian's, but I do enjoy seeing the AI slop pointed out because it's funny, like how bad some of it is.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a big problem because people are less tech savvy. People do not recognize that it's AI, and they're just like, it started to seep over onto Twitter. Like people are making these engagement farming pages with AI slop, but thankfully, like Twitter is a younger demographic, so a lot of times you see the comments and they're like, "Get the fuck off of here with this shit. This isn't Facebook." And like you do see that, which is like kind of endearing, I guess you would say. But yeah, I think AI slop is a big problem because most of it's honestly not good. Like there's memes of like look close and you'll see it, and it's like two soldiers standing next to each other, and like in between them, the face of Jesus is made somehow. But like, if you look at the legs of the soldiers, they're like bent in like very like unhuman ways.
I've
like,
seen shit like that. I've seen shit
yeah,
like
and
that.
it's like, dude, like this shouldn't be fooling people. But you look and they show the likes, and it's like 100,000 likes, and it's like, oh my god, bro, like this is a disaster. So I think AI slop is probably the biggest thing that we have working against this on the internet right now. And then honorable mentions, I had these were on my actual cut, my top 5 until Brian reminded me of things I hate. And number 1, I'll go with the Hawk Tua girl. She seems like a nice girl, but I really didn't enjoy that era. I thought it was gross. Yeah, I don't think it should have even gone past like 12 hours of
I think
relevancy.
It still is going, dude.
Well, she has a podcast now.
Yeah, she has. Apparently, it's like popular and shit too.
Yeah, unfortunately, she seems like a nice enough person, so I'm not gonna hate. But that was a bad trend. Good on her for capitalizing, though. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Coconut 100%. Tree / Brat. That was a really dark era. Like I didn't enjoy the Kamala social media experience where it was like, it's Brat Summer. It's like, no, like just stop, man. You guys are making it very uncool. Like you guys are making people not like your candidate, and that's whack. Because like, yeah, she's not a bad candidate. You guys just suck at pushing her out there. And number 3 is actually, I love these guys, but I think a lot of people hate them, are AJ and Big Justice. You know, the Costco Boom guys. I'm a huge fan of them. I'm like a massive fan of them, but people do hate them a lot. You know, the Rizzler released a remix verse to their big hit, We Bring the Boom, yesterday, and it was quite exciting. He has a line about, like, I'm not even going to try to repeat the Rizzler. He had bars, though, we'll say this. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that group of people. Unironically, I'm a fan. Yeah.
Good list.
Okay. Before I go into mine, alt-right stuff didn't make it onto my list. It probably should have, but do you guys know this guy called Date Right Stuff?
What do you spell that?
So it's like this middle-aged dude who just like every single one of his videos is him sitting down eating, like doing a really snarky conservative comment.
I know who this is. I've seen this guy before. When
I think of him, like alt-right, like people, that's what I think of. He probably is the most punchable face of all of alt-right. Yeah.
Is he the guy who goes on like pretend dates and he like films himself sitting across from the person while he's being kind of a tool?
Yes, but I don't think that there's any illusion that he's on a date. Like it's just him. Like I guess it's supposed to be your point of view if you were a woman dating him, right?
Yeah.
And you were conservative, but he's just a huge ass.
He's the worst person on the internet, maybe.
Yeah, he might be. Like, so that's what I thought about. He should have made my list, but he didn't. But let's go. I start. So, the order. Okay. So I guess this would be like under the category of housewives making really shitty food. So things like wine cake.
I like this.
Yeah, things like wine cake. You know, Nathaniel, like who watches like homemade. Let's make this, and then he's like, "Oh, my stomach's bubbling." You know, that type of thing. Like, so like him, but he's the original source material. Like people who think they're really innovative or smart, but the food they're putting out is like fucking gross and disgusting and stuff. Yeah. Go ahead, Steve.
Are you talking about like the people who like make nachos on their kitchen counter with no bowl?
Yeah, basically, and like, oh, look at this cool life hack for like for your party. Like, nobody wants to eat that shit, dude. Nobody wants to.
Yeah, making punch in the fucking kitchen sink. It's like
exactly.
No, just grab the punch
jungle
out the
juice.
You gotta send me some. That sounds awful.
It's been a few years. I need to find them again.
Yes, so that's coming in at number 5. Number 4, well known on my time on the spot that I really think these people are some of the lowest of the low for what they do to their children. It's the Insta family, the content creator family.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's a good one.
I think there was one I saw yesterday where a mom was like making her like 5-year-old son do like a really cringy TikTok dance in public. Like, why are you making your kid do this, man? He doesn't even like have this type of shit in his life. Like,
Your son doesn't need to dance.
Dude, you guys put it on your list yourself. What are you saying? The TikTok dances were.
I don't have that much of a beef with TikTok dances.
I guess.
I agree with you though.
One of them is on my list, but we'll get into that later. I don't know how to describe this in any other way, and I don't know what the meme is called, but it's like 7 women in a circle doing like the sorry, I forgot what it's called. It's like I don't even want to do it on video, like to give you an example of what it looks like. They're like chanting in a circle and they're going like clapping.
Oh,
and
I
stuff.
know what you're talking about.
And like and in a blue white dress or something, you know, like that type of thing, or homemade bread and church or something. I don't know what to say. Like I like the dancing and like, but then the problem is it's been bastardized by like corporate HR people, and they made it way worse than it was. Which
I have seen that.
Yeah, in the conservative like circles. I can't describe it, but if you know what it is, you know what it is. And then final 2 are I guess 2 would be, you know, that's that emergency song, and then they do a dance, and then they're like changing clothes. Guys and girls do it. It's like emergency, and then they do that. Okay, I don't know why I'm seeing this, but it's so frustrating. Every time I hear the song, I want to shoot my screen. It's so bad. And then number 1 would be it's like you say the trend is we're doctors, of course we stay up till 12 o'clock.
Oh.
We're investment bankers, of course we do coke or something. I don't know, like something along those lines or something.
But Mexicans in London, that was one of my favorite ones I've seen.
Like that's it's so stupid to me, but that's number 1. To me, any of these would piss me off. The order doesn't matter. But travel, for honorable mention, I have travel hack content creators. They have this big thing. Oh, look, I'm flying first class on Singapore Airlines, or look at my suite and stuff. But they're just exploiting credit cards loopholes that existed in the past and don't exist anymore. And they're selling a vision of luxury that is actually like the opposite. It's like they're flying pointless flights all over the world to get the one first class flight. So I don't know. It just seems disingenuous. And then like, secondary to what like you guys both said would be like the Sigma sales Grant Cardone mindset. This is the book of sales type thing. And I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm trying to sell me this pen type thing. Like, just shut the fuck up, dude. Just
I agree with you.
Okay. So those are my honorable mentions. Yeah, a little bit later. Any comments, or we can move on?
I feel like your algorithm goes crazy, Ashwin.
Yeah,
it did.
I feel like you're getting
Ashwin's got the craziest algorithm, dude. Sometimes you type some stuff into the chat, and I'm just like, I have never ever seen this, and I don't know how you got this.
Your number two one, the fact that it's a trend and you've seen multiple videos in the exact same style of your number 2, and I have no clue what you're talking about, makes me think your algorithm is like irreparably fucked.
I guess if I'm being frank, it's probably because the people who do these type of things on IG and like YouTube are generally attractive women, right? And so they do like these dances, and apparently it's supposed to be okay because they're attractive women. But I'm saying it doesn't matter if you're attractive. It's still a shit trend.
You can make yourself unattractive.
Exactly, doing that. Exactly, yeah. I mean, like, it's the lowest bar of content in my opinion. So there you go. I didn't assign Song of the Week. Does anybody have one?
Yeah, I can do one.
Okay. If not, I can.
Or you can do one if you have a good one. If you have a better one.
Look who came up. You lad, Timcast IRL. Speak of they're listening to me. Isn't that Tim Pool, an alt-right guy?
Yes, it is. Tim Pool is a very ridiculous character who always wears a beanie, and people make fun of him nonstop.
Seems you go. I don't got anything good.
All right, so we'll go with High Tension by Shally Poppy.
Any info on it?
Well, Shally Poppy was on Rema's album, and I really enjoyed his feature on Benny and Boys. And I was like, let me listen to Shally Poppy's album, because YouTube Music is very good at that. If they recognize like you've listened to a artist who's featured on one of the songs you listen to, they'll be like, "Oh, listen to his album." And I listened to it, and I find this to be a very good like hit. Like I would say, like an up and coming hit for Shally Poppy. So yeah, High Tension.
Okay, High Tension. I'll take a look. Listen. Thanks to Brian for joining this week. Siebes, as always, thank you. I'm glad to have everyone back. We're in a little like of a little dip right now, but I really want to continue doing it, and I hope you guys stick along for the ride. So thanks for joining as always. See you guys next week. Take care.
Peace.